after 15 years of strength training and going through 3 major injuries to now helping people get out of chronic pain, this right here is the simplest way to understand how to heal an injury. This is not what your chiro or PT would ever tell you, so make sure you take some notes and let's get into it. The first thing we need to understand is that all an injury is just that the force coming in was too much for your body, either instantly or built up over time. This is the reason why a dancer can hit a split and then go get lunch versus a martial artist who gets put in a submission that is a split and they need to go to the hospital right away. Force coming in was either too fast, too much, or accumulated. With that, we have 3 keys to healing an injury. Number 1 is blood flow, 2 is regain range of motion, and 3 is regain function. The 4th one is a bonus. Stay to the end, and that's how you'll never get injured again. Blood is what your body uses to repair. Think of blood as your life force. The best way to improve blood flow is activity. It's also why having a better cardio ability or better VO2 max is helpful when it comes to coming back from injuries. But you probably can't move right now. So what can we do instead? Gentle tissue work to non-sensitive areas around it. Let's say you're dealing with a knee injury, and if you tried foam rolling or lacrosse balling your quad, it would put you in too much pain. Okay, let's start with the hamstring, the area above it, the inner thigh, the calf, all that will start to improve pain even there. Start the healing process and allow you to move. Let me be very clear. Massages, foam rolling, going to your chiro is not what is going to heal your injury. What it is going to do is get your foot in the door, because now you can move a little bit better with a little bit less pain. The blood flow work and tissue work should have already gotten you started on this process. Side note, a really quick bonus is something called floss bands. Especially if you're doing something on a joint, floss bands are an amazing way of improving range of motion and getting blood flow to an area. But anyway, back to it. If flexing your knee hurts, then we want to attack the opposite. We want to extend the knee, improve blood flow. It's going to be a very recurring theme. It's going to stretch the opposite area, because when you flex one muscle, the opposing muscle has to stretch. And it's also going to build trust, both physiologically and psychologically. Sometimes when you're dealing with pain, especially if it's been chronic, like you've been dealing with surgery for a while, in the way I was, I'm using the knee as an example, because I dealt with chronic knee pain for over 2.5 years. Your body will try to protect the area, because even if you're not dealing with an injury. So by showing movement in the general area, you show your body that it's safe and it can stop sending a pain signal. The other thing is psychologically. If you've been dealing with a bad injury, if every single step you take, every single movement you do, psychologically makes you feel like you're at risk of an injury, it's going to be really hard to actually heal and go through the healing process. So having that trust by just showing general movement, showing yourself, oh, I can extend my knee pain-free. I can take this step, I can jump. And stacking up those little wins is key to your healing process. Every joint and muscle has its functions. If you don't get those back, you will always get injuries. A lot of times in PT, they just say, hey, don't do that movement. You can't do that movement. They basically say, forget that function. That's only gonna work for a little bit. You need to regain your function. Going back to the knee, it needs to flex, it needs to extend, and it needs a little bit of rotation. To regain function, we need 2 types of exercises. Number 1 are movement plus tension and high reps, and 2, no movement, high tension, no reps. Movement and low tension. It's gonna build the muscle, it's going to improve endurance, and get blood flow. Blood flow is life force. What we're gonna do is we're gonna add weight over time, and eventually we're gonna add range. We're gonna do 3 sets of 25 to 40. Yes, that's a lot. You're gonna feel the meanest pump, and that's the point. With 1 minute rest, slow and controlled. The other movement is no movement with high tension and 0 reps. These are called isometrics. They improve the tendon, improve stability. They're surprisingly very safe to do, even though you're putting such high tension, and they help improve your range of motion as well and get a lot of blood flow. We're gonna pick a weight or put yourself in a position to where you cannot move. And from there, we're gonna look at time, eventually range. We're gonna pick 3 sets of 30 to 60 second efforts with a minute rest, pushing as hard as feels safe. The key word is hard. So with the knee, the example I'll give is you'll get on the leg machine, you'll put it to the highest weight to where it won't move, and you're gonna press into it as hard as you can, sustained for 30 to 60 seconds. Eventually, once you've added time, you're then gonna put it in a deeper position, and you're gonna keep adding range that way. It's only one example. There's a lot of ways to do isometrics. Really important here, we're looking to stay under a 4 in the pain scale. Things are gonna feel tough, it's gonna be uncomfortable. If you're doing this right, you're probably gonna end up pushing past 4. We're re-exploring. We're learning about how our body works now. This is part of the process. Use that information and take a step back to find where your true zone is. It should feel like a pulsing, a blood flow feeling. One of my clients that was dealing with lower back pain described it as the area feels alive. You're gonna feel sore, but never work through shooting, stabbing, or nervy feelings. The day of and the next day. Again, that's information. That's telling you I pushed a little too far. If you did, okay, take a second, breathe, back off, either on the range or the weight, and work your way there. If going to the 10 pounds hurts you, good, that's information. Now we know, all right, let's back off, let's go to the 5. Let's keep working here, and eventually work our way back. If extending this far hurts you, all right, back off to here, and we'll stay here until this opens up. It's all information, it's all part of the process. We do this in all ranges and for every function of the target area. So with the knee again, we're gonna do this with extension, we're gonna do this with flexion, we're gonna do this with rotation. Eventually, these can become warm-ups or prehab. For now, they're the main exercise. That's it. This is the simplest way I could describe to you how to heal from an injury. Diet matters as well, your recovery matters terrifically, and also what your biomechanics and other body parts are doing. All that matters. But this is how to heal in the simplest way. Let's talk about that bonus. How do you never get injured again? Realistically, exercise and improving your physiology is just going to decrease the likelihood. Life's chaotic, you may get injured again. But the best way to avoid that is by getting indestructible as fuck. And the way we do that is with re-exposure therapy. The key is we gradually get back to the same thing that hurts you, or close to. We need to follow this order though. First we up the range, then we up the load, then we up the speed. We've already been doing 2, I'll describe the third in a second. We use light weights and isometrics to enter that range. Then we add load. Rehab and strength training are on a spectrum. This is part of the reason why PT doesn't work for a lot of people, because rehab is here on the spectrum, strength training is here. What happens with a lot of PT is that they'll get through this part of the spectrum and then tell people, hey, now you need to jump to this side. We still need to work on progressing. And even if you got injured on the strength training side, on this part of the spectrum, you now have information again on how to get back to there and eventually, hopefully, beyond. Third is speed, and this is that beyond point. This is last for very good reason. In a heavy squat, let's say your body weight or more, you're gonna put 50 to 30 newtons of force through your ankle. When you jump, it's 1,050 to 2,100 newtons. This is vital, and we need to expose yourself to speed because sports or life in general happens a lot faster than it does in a back squat. You start with controlled, then you move to speed. Also, random side note, fascia likes speed. And speed and force are all things that help keep fascia healthy. And that's it. If you've been dealing with chronic joint pain or injury, shoot me a comment below or DM me on Instagram and I'll try to answer some of your questions. If you are looking for a full process that includes this to get back to where you were or even better in 90 days, DM me Rebuild. Comment down below your notes, that way other people can see it and gain some gems.